Hey, sports fans. Welcome to another episode of Buffoons Sports Talk. Joined today with Alex Campbell, Troy Alexander, Jacob Hoffman, and your boy, The Riz. What's up, gents?
The
What
Riz.
up?
Thought I'd switch up the intro a little bit.
I liked it. I personally did. I don't know about Alex, but I liked it.
Why are you always shooting on me?
Dude,
Borderline.
it's been like that all day.
What did I do to you?
Dude, let's just start it, bro.
All right, so you see
whatever.
the title. The title is Top 10 Wide Receivers of All Time. I know we're kind of switching it up. Last episode, we talked NBA Top 10 for the current season, but we figured we'd switch over to the NFL since there's going to be a lot of stuff happening recently with the draft coming up. There's obviously been some signings and things like that. So we figured we'd jump right back into the NFL. Just to kind of just throw that out there, this list is from 1970 and beyond because the league was obviously, so different than what it is today and how they were mostly, a run game first before anything. So this list is mostly players from 1970 and above.
Wait, is it 1970, Phil? I thought it was 1980 or up.
We're just being generous. I decided to do the 70s.
Oh, okay. Well, in that case, my list is probably going to vary differently then because mine's from like 1980-ish up because I feel like the league was a lot different than the 70s. So just an FYI.
That's fine. We can keep it, honestly. But I know for this episode, last time we kind of just bounced back and forth. So we kind of went through like 10, what was everyone's on, number 10, 9, so on and so forth. But we decided to change it up a little bit and just name our 10 through 6. And then right after that, our 5 through 1. And then we can kind of go through and discuss after we give our results for our top 10 list. So anyone want to be the brave soul and be the first one to throw out their 10 through 6?
Yeah, I need to go get my phone with my list.
Wow, not
What
prepared?
the hell? What?
All right, Jake,
Well,
I'll throw this at you then. Since you probably
yeah.
already have your list. You probably have a list for every single thing, knowing you and how much you love to do research. So I'm sure you had your top 10 ready to go a long time ago.
I've been ready to go for this one for a while.
I know we've all gone into like what we call, or the program we use, Discord, to kind of go through and talk our sports debates and things like that. I know for sure you've had your list for a while. So go ahead and start throwing out your 10 through 6, since we're going 10 down.
Yeah, so at number 10, and I know that a lot of people might hate on this, but I've got Julio Jones at number 10. I think the dude's an absolute animal. He's a beast. I think he's going to continue to rack up touchdowns, yards, and I think he can run any route, catch any type of ball, and there's really never been any defender I've ever seen really be able to shut him down. Some of the best corners have done decent on him, Josh Norman, Patrick Peterson, but there's also been games where he's just embarrassed them and torched them. So he's my number 10. Number 9 is Tim Brown. I mean, he's just a beast for the Raiders. Had a really long career. Really didn't have a ton of talent throwing to him, to be completely honest, and racked up a ton of touchdowns and a ton of yards. I believe he's top 10 in both categories, and same with receptions. So he's just a very reliable receiver. Did it for a long time. Number 8, I've got Isaac Bruce. To me, was the outside. I mean, Marshall Faulk to me. Well, I mean, obviously Kurt Warner, Marshall Faulk, right? The running back, quarterback are super important. But as far as the weapons on offense, between Holt and Isaac Bruce and all the receiving core there, I truly thought Isaac Bruce was the key to it all, the core to that receiving core being so dominant and being the greatest show on turf. And so yeah, I've got him at number 8. At number 7. I've got Marvin Harrison. Dude just was a complete animal. Held the record for the most catches in a single season until just this last season when Michael Thomas broke it. But, I mean, what can you say? I do think he had one of the best quarterbacks of all time throwing to him. But I mean, you can make the same argument about a lot of guys on this list. And then at number 6, I've got Chris Carter, who again had other great talent in as his receivers, like opposite of him, but really never had a great quarterback throwing the football to him. I mean, he has average quarterbacks, but I mean nothing like you see on the rest of this top 10 list. You could even make an argument that we'll get to it later, but some of the quarterbacks in my top 5, I would argue that all 5 of them are. I'm sorry, all the wide receivers in my top 5, I think you could argue that all of them had better quarterbacks thrown to them throughout their career than Chris Carter. So yeah, that's my 6 through 10.
Okay.
You want to go, Troy?
Yeah. I mean, if that's cool with you guys.
Yeah, go knock it out.
All right. Cool. So actually, I had Julio Jones as my number 10 as well. Kind of just to say what Jay said, like literally can run like any route. And honestly, number 10 was tough for me because I had there's so many other guys that I had. Like, I'm a huge Steve Smith fan. I thought at one point he was the best wide receiver in the game. Beat my Rams in the 2003 NFC Championship game to get the Super Bowl to eventually lose to, unfortunately, the Patriots. But I had so many names up in the air, but ultimately I just picked Julio. I just think he's going to continue to rise up in the ranks too. But for me, Julio's just incredible, man. Like what Jake said, just can literally take really anyone or one-on-one anytime, any day. And I mean, Matt Ryan, I think he's one of those quarterbacks where we all kind of have between good and elite, but he's not quite either of them. So we've all been kind of he's kind of the in-between tier. So it's not like Julio has had a pretty good quarterback, but he hasn't been a great quarterback realistically. So I think that only gives Julio more of an advantage. Number 9, I had Isaac Bruce, my guy, being a Rams fan. 6 foot tall receiver, part of the greatest show on turf. After Warner left and he was considered, washed or not good anymore, Mark Bulger came to town in St. Louis, and Isaac Bruce still continued to have successful seasons and productive seasons. So to me, that only shows that he wasn't just a one quarterback guy, that he was able to do it with multiple quarterbacks. So I've got Isaac Bruce there. Number 8, I got Marvin Harrison. Skilled receivers, catches I've seen him make were incredible. There were so many games where I've watched him and Peyton play together, and literally Peyton would just throw it in Marvin's direction, and Peyton, knowing how Marvin is, Marvin would just do whatever it took to grab that ball no matter where it was. And some of the touchdowns I've seen Harrison grab with one hand in the end zone, it was just incredible. So I got Big Marv at number 8. Number 7, Michael Irvin. Part of that 3 championship squad in Dallas in the 90s with Emmitt Smith and Troy Aikman and that amazing O-line. Just the guy at the time. And how about them Cowboys, right? So
it was tough for me to leave him off my 6 through 10 and off my list altogether. But
right, me too. Dude, the more I was going through my list, I was like, damn, this is actually really tough.
The harder it gets, man.
Yeah.
For real.
I feel like 6 through 10 is way harder than 1 through 5. That's me personally.
Oh, absolutely.
And all right, so number 6, and I'll explain why. I've got Art Monk. A big time, probably the primary weapon for the Washington Redskins 3 championships. I mean, outside of their, the Hogs, their O-line in the 90s. But if you really look at it, the Redskins won 3 championships with 3 different quarterbacks. And each championship, Art Monk was the primary weapon, especially on offense, especially for the receiving core. So for me,
in an era with really good quarterbacks, right? I mean, you're talking
with the Cowboys,
right? You've got Troy Aikman in the Cowboys. You got Steve Young in the 49ers. You got Brett Favre in the Packers. I mean, that's you saw it Elway in the Broncos. I mean, obviously different conference, but still, like, that's totally
right. And I took in, account. This is also, one of the reasons I wanted to put Isaac Bruce in there as well. Not only because he was a great receiver, but because he did it with another quarterback. And to me, that matters. So because of what Art Monk accomplished in the diversity as far as quarterbacks and different type of players he played with, I put Art in number 6. And he was just a hell of a player too. So that rounds out my 10 through 6.
Phil, you want to get him next?
Oh, you want to say best for last, eh?
Hey, if that's what you want to call it. I'm not gonna.
No, we just know Alex likes to copy people's lists is all. So
Okay.
don't give
All right.
don't
We
give
caught
ammunition
you.
to people if they like to rag on you for it.
So
All right, fine. I'll go ahead and get started. Wow, 3 for 3 so far for number 10s. I had Julio Jones on my list. What more can I piggyback off Troy and Jake from what they said previously? Honestly, if he would have won that Super Bowl a few years ago, I think he'd be higher in my list, to be honest. But once his career is done, he's definitely going to be higher on this top 10 list. He's probably one of the most skilled wide receivers I've ever watched.
You blame him for that? I mean, I don't
blame him. Well,
like, to be honest.
Championships.
I know, but
I try to factor in everything, but that's a testament to Julio Jones, though, to say if he does have a ring right now, he'd be higher on my list compared to some of these other wide receiver greats. I think that says a lot for
that's fair.
Where he is currently.
Fair. He's a beast.
Yeah,
you're right.
For my number 9, I had Chris Carter. I know he, for a lot of statistics, he's top 10 in touchdowns, receiving yards. Had a hell of a career. I know majority of it was spent in Minnesota, and obviously they never won a ring, but
because he had Randy Moss.
Yeah. Just think about those two on one team, though. That's.
But never a great quarterback.
Exactly, and that to me plays a factor in this. Sometimes
and
it's
Randy was only there for. I mean, yeah, he was there for a big chunk of his career, so I shouldn't say that.
But see that, Phil, I don't mean to cut you off, but this is kind of why I didn't put Chris Carter in my 6 through 10, just because I always kind of felt like even though he was a really good receiver, I think a lot of it is because of Randy Moss. And not to take anything away from Chris, but
no,
wow.
But he was so talented, and I thought he was a big part of that. I mean, he's 4th all time in touchdowns, and I think that has to accommodate something. And then receiving yards, he's top 10 for sure. So to me, that plays a factor. I know he never won a ring, but there's a lot of people on my list that are up there that don't even have a ring either. So I try to add both factors into it, but I mean, he was a beast. But you're absolutely right. It could be a testament of not only having Chris Carter on the field, but you also had Randy Moss, which is, obviously he's going to be on our list somewhere.
Yeah.
Number 8, Isaac Bruce. Huge part of that Rams offense, and to what Troy mentioned before, after everyone kind of left, he still was very productive. Still ended up being, one of the greatest wide receivers to play the game. So I put him on there. 7 would be Marvin Harrison. To me, I wanted to put him up a little bit higher just because he's a statistics leader as well, but also he has a championship with the Colts. So, but I felt like that was a good position for him, and you can't go wrong with the guy. He's one of the most skilled wide receivers to ever play the game. And then my number 6 would be Michael Irvin.
Man, a lot of love for Irvin tonight, huh?
I guess
even
so.
Though it's as coked out as he was still pretty damn good, Jake.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I attribute that Cowboys team to just being stacked all around, and
It was. I mean,
it ran through Emmitt Smith. Come on.
yeah.
Yeah, of course. And,
And
maybe
when-
I do
and-
have him high up there, but he was a big part of that offense as well. So
I mean, don't get me wrong.
did
I've
win
got him at
3.
number 11. Like he's my, I mean, if we're factoring all time, I've got Don Hudson at 11. Well, actually, I probably got Don Hudson at 10 all time before Julio right now if we're looking all time. But before that, I would have Michael Irvin if we're just talking this kind of 11.
Yeah,
And I think
sorry, Phil. Go ahead, Phil. Sorry.
No, I was just saying, like, after we're done with everyone's list, it'll be interesting to see kind of where he averages out because he doesn't even make your top 10. He makes Troy's top 10. I think he was number 7.
9, I think, or something. Yeah.
And then mine. So it'd be interesting where he's going to average out because you'd be surprised where people actually put some of these greats. Like watching like sports analysts talk about the top 10 wide receivers list, and then you see like some of them put Larry Fitzgerald at a ridiculous number. Like, I don't know. Like, I question some people that put what they put on their list personally.
So far, I'm glad that none of you have put Larry in your 6 through 10.
No, as big. I digress. I'll get to my top 5.
Yeah.
All right. Alex, I'll throw it over to you. Your 10 through 6.
I'm gonna kind of switch it up a little bit on you guys, but I'm gonna start with Isaac Bruce at my 10, and then I'm gonna go to Julio right after that.
Okay, so can I ask why you have Julio over Isaac?
Probably. You really want to know why? Probably because I've watched more of him.
Okay.
Just being completely honest. Obviously, him and Kurt Warner put up hell of numbers and did amazing things. I just think that Julio is a specimen that you rarely see.
Some of the most ridiculous catches I've ever witnessed in my, watching football for as long as I've been watching.
Damn,
It's amazing.
I've watched Giovanni Bernard more than I've watched Emmitt Smith. I guess I'll take Giovanni Bernard over Emmitt Smith.
I'm just telling you my opinion.
I'm just kidding.
All right, Alex. So you had
I'm
Bruce 10. You had Julio Jones number 9. What's number 8, big fella?
You guys are really gonna hate on me on this one, but I've got Calvin Johnson.
Oh man, I'm gonna hate on you big time.
I know you are. I hate on me.
You got him at 8.
Hate on me all you want. All you want. When did he retire? Look at.
He's in my. Don't worry. He's in my. No, dude. He's too low on your damn list.
No, I don't. No, I don't look at it that way. No Super Bowls. He retired early. You can't really tell what he was actually going to do later on.
That's not true, dude. He played during his prime. He's. Nah.
I don't think he did enough to even crack some people's top 10s. To be honest with you, I don't. I think you're going off of just straight skill compared to achievements as well. And I'm kind of looking at everything in a.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
But my next pick, I've got Michael Irvin.
At what number is he? 6 or 7?
That would be 7.
Okay.
And then I've got Marvin Harrison.
Okay, so dang, that list is definitely
different than you guys.
Yeah, it's definitely different. I'm just wondering, damn, even though Marvin Harrison's has a championship, I don't Calvin Johnson. All right, man.
All right.
Well, hold on. This is going to be interesting because we'll actually have a complete group conversation once we give our top 5.
Hey, I'll be honest with you. Like you said, Troy, do you know how many times I changed my list? Probably 20 times in 5 minutes.
It's hard, man. Yeah. It's not easy.
And I have to stay consistent. Basketball, football, baseball. I understand each sport's different, but I've got to stay consistent. I love winners, man. And I understand he was loyal to his team, stayed with the Lions, a pretty shitty organization during his time there. But I value winners, man. So that's my list right there.
All right.
Sweet. Jake, you want to give your top 5?
Yeah. So speaking of Megatron, he's number 5. I don't know what 5 is off the top of my head in Spanish. I'm stupid.
Cinco.
But yeah,
Cinco, gringo.
Yeah, I would have had to do it out loud on the.
And you're afraid it'd be the wrong one. You'd be like,
yeah.
Quattro.
And now
Wait,
I sound even
5?
dumber, right? So I would have been better off just doing it. But yeah, number 5, I've got Megatron, man. To me, he would be, if he played longer, he would be number 2 on my list, potentially even number 1. So I don't think I'm just going off of skill. I think skill is a huge factor in this, just like so is all-time achievement. And the only reason I don't have him at number 2 or 1 is because he just all-time didn't play a little bit longer or win more. But, I mean, no one takes anything away from Barry Sanders for not winning. I mean, they got him in their top 4 running backs of all time just because he had to play for shitty-ass Detroit. They went 0-16 one time. I mean, not with Barry, but, I mean.
Is this
Megatron,
fucking directed at me? Is this fucking directed at me or something?
No. But do you feel like I'm looking at you through the Zoom?
No, but I think you're speaking to me.
Well, I mean, look at Adrian Peterson too. Like he's another example of that. Like
yeah, he's had a very long career though. That's the difference.
That's a difference, but at the same time, he still didn't he played long enough, but like he never won. And look at all the awards that he got.
That's true. I mean, he won an MVP. That's a complete different. But anyways, yeah. So number 4, I've got T.O. As cocky as he is, as much of a douche as this guy is, I don't like him. Number 4 is T.O. He's such a freak, just such a gifted athlete. Caught everything that came his way, but boy, he was just a head case in the locker room. Honestly, you could have argued skill-wise he was just as good as Randy Moss, maybe even number 2 or 3 all time. You could argue he was better than Randy Moss, but he's such a head case in the locker room. I'm not saying like Randy Moss and those other guys weren't necessarily sometimes, but not like this guy. This guy was on a whole. This is some A-B level kind of dude. We're close to that, you know. So number 4, I got T.O. Number 3, I got Larry Fitzgerald, the man with the hands. I think he's got some of the best hands in history. He can run any route, has done it with multiple different quarterbacks at the helm, below average ones, to be honest. I mean, Josh McCown, Kevin Cobb, Matt Leinart, Drew Stanton. I mean, we can go down the list of and Josh Rosen. We can go, you know, so he's had some below average quarterbacks for sure throwing the ball to him, and he's still been able to get it done and be successful. Number 2, I've got Randy Moss. Just second most skilled receiver we've ever seen. Just such a freak. Could go up and get any pass that was just thrown up in the air for him. Those 50-50 balls, gosh, it was terrible watching Moss play against, you know, the teams I liked. And then number 1, this should be a no-brainer, is Jerry Rice, the GOAT, best player in football history, in my opinion. Just in all of football. So yeah, that's my list. I don't think we need to explain that one, right? 3 Super Bowls, all the championships, receptions, touchdowns, yards, leads them in all, played for 20 years, was impactful for 20 years. You know, it's not like you just play. This isn't like one of those sports where you just get to play. Like, you know, they'll bench you if you're not able to play the number wide receiver 2 or 3 position. You know, and he was still able to produce at a high level. So
what's crazy is that he's played till he was 42 years old. Now, quarterbacks, okay, you know, we're seeing it right now where quarterbacks are in their 40s with today's technology and, you know, diets and whatnot. But this man was 42 years old.
Taking hits.
Yeah.
40 and 42. Running routes, catching balls, and taking hits.
His second to last year, he still had over 800 receiving yards.
Hey, taking what, Jake?
Hits.
Okay.
Like BT hits.
Oh.
You know.
Oh shoot! All right, Troy, your top 5, por favor.
You know, if one like my stepson watches this video because he supports us, gonna have to tell him what that was that you just showed the camera.
It was a vase.
He's like, what was
Flower
that?
vase?
A vase.
Flower vase.
I get, yeah. I'll
I
say
don't know what
that.
you're talking about. But what's your list, Troy?
All right. So,
Yeah, you just drew attention to it, so he'll rewind.
well, if he
Pause
does,
it
he
and
does.
check it out now. He might have
I'll
just
say
skipped
it's
past it before.
something that makes you feel good.
He's watching.
Number
All right.
number 5, I got Megatron, Calvin Johnson. I was tossed up between him and my number 4. Played with, a pretty good quarterback in Matt Stafford. Wish he would have shown us a little more. I know he didn't play long enough. Wish he would have made it to like at least a championship game or something to see, what a defense could do against him when it got late into the season. But yeah, skill wise, I mean, kind of like the LeBron James of the NBA, like, but for football, like the guy's just a monster physically. Not really much corners could do with him. Number 4, Larry Fitzgerald. I hate the Cardinals, but Fitz is a cool guy.
Real recognizes real.
Yeah, what is it the kids are saying nowadays? He's a real one.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's a real one. Kind of one of those players that you could see like what he was going to be coming out of college. Unanimous All-American, Heisman runner-up, Big East Offensive Player of the Year in 2003. So first team All Big East. So from the get-go, you could already see. And then like what Jake said, like how many quarterbacks has the guy had, right? Like freaking Matt Leinart. Come on. Guy's incredible. And then number 3, I've got T.O., Terrell Owens. He's kind of like, I don't want to say like the first Calvin Johnson, but like when I think of like top tier receivers of all time, like the ones that come to mind are like my top 4 or like top 5, because like their body types are just the absolute best for wide receivers. And it's long, strong, lengthy, just able to get on top of anybody and just steal a ball out of the air. And that was T.O., just a physical specimen. Number 2, Randy Moss. I kind of feel like everyone's 1 and 2s are the same, right? And yeah, just the second best wide receiver of all time, in my opinion. Did it with Tom Brady too, but I know people say, "Oh, it's Tom Brady. It's Tom Brady." Yeah, but still, to do it with 2 different teams at a high level is still impressive for me. And obviously, number 1, Jerry Rice. Do I really need to go into introduction about the best wide receiver of all time? I do want to say, I know I don't have Chris Carter in my top 10, which would probably surprise people. And I know I could probably replace like maybe Julio or Art Monk, but I'm just kind of looking at Chris Carter and like his achievements. So from 1987 through 1989, he played with the Philadelphia Eagles. No awards, no Pro Bowls, no nothing. Okay. Go to the Minnesota Vikings in 1990. Then starts winning all of his awards. 1993 is his first Pro Bowl. And then I just looked down the line and all of his awards were with the Vikings. And I think, why? Well, to be continued. Who wants to go next?
It's Phil's turn.
Okay, Phil.
Honestly, my list was identical to Jake's.
Okay.
So I had Calvin Johnson, number 5, probably one of the most skilled wide receivers I've ever witnessed. And if he continued to play a long career, he would definitely be top 2. Terrell Owens, I mean, he had success in, San Francisco, Dallas, Philadelphia. I know he played with a couple other teams after that to help, pad his stats in a sense, but he's always been a winner, wherever he goes. He was difficult in the locker room, but still, he's still one of the best wide receivers to ever play the game. Larry Fitzgerald is number 3. Interesting stat. He has more tackles than he has drop passes in his career.
By the way, I think if he were to have won a championship, like if Santonio Holmes doesn't catch that ball, I think he's number 2. And I think if he keeps playing and somehow wins a championship, even like on his like last year with Kyler Murray, like 2 or 3 years from now, I still think he goes to number 2.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
He was so productive last year.
I know. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. The man is just super. He's a freak.
Dude. And I feel like he's gonna stay productive with DeAndre Hopkins, part of the wide receiver core now too, because not everyone.
Kirk, they can run the ball. I mean, they're gonna be good.
Yeah.
So yeah, sorry, keep going.
Yeah, 2 Randy Moss, and then 1 my boy Jerry Rice. Alex.
All right, so number 5. I got Tim Brown, Mr. Raider himself. Touchdown, Timmy. Touchdown, Timmy. I got to. I have to. I'm sorry. You know what? Go fuck yourselves, okay?
I didn't say a word.
I'm just saying.
Me neither.
I'm just saying. 1,100 catches, 15,000 yards, 100 touchdowns. I got to put him in there. I'm sorry. And to piggyback off of everyone else's point, there are so many people I could take out of this list.
Oh, yeah.
Move down, put someone else in. But number 4, I've got T.O. Obviously, to spin off what Jake said, just a nightmare in the locker room, but you can't deny the man's talent. If he was a locker room guy, there's no telling where he would be on this list because the dude was really special.
Not even just that, though. It's like he could be even higher on people's lists. Like that year he left San Fran and then went to Philadelphia for 1 year. And first was there to the Super Bowl. Like, dude, I wouldn't be surprised if people put him higher on their list, though. So.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it either. That's just where he's at for me.
And he played. Sorry, I just want to piggyback real quick what he said. And in that Super Bowl, he played amazing, and he had a broken leg.
Yeah.
Very talented.
Yes.
All right, go on, Alex. Sorry about that.
Yeah. Then my third is, in my opinion, Larry Fitzgerald. For me, Mr. Reliable. Can always count on that dude. I'm not even a huge Cardinals fan. Obviously, I moved here and I adopted them as like my secondary team. Not going to pull a Jake, but they I like
we really got to get into this on every damn episode, don't we?
It's going to happen every time. So
every damn episode.
So he just like Phil said, more tackles as a wide receiver than drops. Some people have more drops in one season than Larry Fitzgerald had in his whole career, and he's old. Do I really even need to go into the next 2? Randy Moss and Jerry Rice.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, so number 5, but Megatron. Megatron's not in your top 5.
Nope.
But Touchdown Timmy is.
Yeah.
The guy that took it like basically twice as many years to put up the same damn stats as Megatron.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I also am trolling a little bit as far as Chris Carter. Like, I think I just don't like his points as far as outside of football when it comes to sports. And sorry to interrupt you, Phil. I know you were talking, but
go do your thing.
I guess that doesn't really change my list either way. I honestly just don't like Chris Carter's points when it comes to like sports debates. I think that kind of made me a little biased. But I mean, his first Pro Bowl was in like 93 or 94, I believe. And it was like his 5th or 6th year in the league. And then Randy Moss got drafted in 98. So I know that Carter still made Pro Bowls before Randy Moss, but call me a hater if you want.
Well,
As far
isn't
as
that
Randy,
kind of like the same scenario as like Marvin Harrison and Reggie Wayne? Like they both helped each other out in their careers.
true,
I mean,
but
but I mean, Marvin Harrison was before Peyton Manning even. Marvin Harrison was drafted a couple of years before Peyton, like 2 years before Peyton. Whereas Reggie Wayne,
I believe Harrison was 96, right? And then Manning was 98 or 99.
No,
and
but
Reggie
to my
wasn't even until
point,
2001. So
like sometimes that scenario does happen where you have another really good receiver on your team, and it helps you out in a sense as well, just like Carter and Randy Moss, and then Reggie Wayne and Marvin Harrison. Because if we would add this to this list and we made it a top 20, I'm sure Reggie Wayne would be in some people's top 20 as well.
For sure. And well, yeah, but I mean, I also kind of feel like the like Randy Moss, I feel like you have to put him number 2. Like outside of Odell Beckham Jr., who, if he could stay healthy and is consistent, I feel like he could easily be a top 10. Like I don't ever remember a receiver outside of Randy Moss in their very first year making as big of an impact than Odell and Randy Moss. Like in their very first year, making as big of an impact as they have as wide receivers. And I mean, both Pro Bowlers in their very first years as rookies. So,
so before we wrap this thing up, anyone have any closing, arguments, discussions before we sign off for the day?
No, I think it's cool that we kind of agree on where everybody lands, is kind of a different order. I mean, I like that Troy brought some, interesting names to the conversation with Art, and with having Irvin on his list. There's some different names there, whereas I didn't have Irvin, and I think all you had Irvin except for me. Actually, never mind. But either way, like that was still, I liked it. It was good.
And we're going to do a lot more of these, just an FYI. We're going to do top 10s, quarterbacks, maybe running backs, other sports, obviously, baseball, basketball. Alex, if you want, you can,
Let's do some UFC.
You can
too.
lead the UFC top 10. Let's do that. I think that'd be fun. And I think a lot of people would really appreciate that.
You want to do one right now?
Yeah, let's figure it out.
All right, Buffoons, like and subscribe.
Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Buffoons Sports Talk. As always, Bullet, my dude, take it away. All right, maybe next time. We got you, Bullet.